What's going on, guys? I'm Landon, and this is David, and we're Taffie Hoops. Really exciting. We have a new studio, not our own, obviously, because, we're still under 100 subscribers, so it's not like, we're not that big. But yeah, we got access to this, and so hopefully the audio is going to be sounding better. We're not sure if the camera quality, we're still figuring out the camera quality right now, and we're really working out all the kinks in general, but we're glad to hopefully produce some greater content for you guys.
Yeah, so let us know if you have any feedback about that, but we'll go straight into it. We're going to talk about some NBA teams, their start of the seasons, and we're going to talk about whether their success or failure is something that will continue. So the first team we're going to talk about is the team with the best record in the league right now, the Boston Celtics, led by one of the MVP contenders, Jason Tatum. Right now, they are 12-3. They are one of the league leaders in both offense and defense. They are one of the few teams that are in both of the top 10s in both. And right now, they are riding an 8-game winning streak. Is their success going to continue, Landon?
I think yes. At the end of the day, I think you and I talked right before we started recording, and we see, obviously, Boston finishing in the top of the Eastern Conference at the end, being really one of the only teams in a league with such parity, just a team that really stands out and really has a chance of having a phenomenal season in a season that has so much talent, so much depth, so much everything. Boston is obviously going to be the best of the best in that.
Yeah, we were talking about a few teams that, there are so few teams that could get to the 60-win mark this year. I feel like I don't think there's any team that will, just because there is so much parity. There is so much basically talent dilution within the NBA, where you're having like 5 to 6 contenders in each conference, which is very, very exciting for the NBA and makes it a lot more exciting to watch on nights where maybe the best teams aren't playing and you still have those mid-tier teams playing. But I love where the Boston Celtics are headed. Joe Mazzulla is a great coach. They did lose Ime Udoka at the beginning of the season, but their talent, along with their defense, kind of headed by that two-headed monster with Al Horford and Robert Williams. Joe Mazzulla has these guys running, and they are winning. I think it's successful, and I think it is going to be sustainable too.
Yeah, and this is obviously a team I'm a big and firm believer of. You got to have experience if you want to go far in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. You're not winning a championship if it's your first time even making a relatively big playoff run. Mm-hmm. And obviously, the Boston Celtics have that, just having gone to the finals.
And they've gone to the conference finals so many times.
Exactly. This could be their year. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't put my money on it. I would put my money on another team in this video. But they're definitely, it's looking promising.
The next team that I would put my money on for the NBA championship is the Milwaukee Bucks, the second team in the Eastern Conference right now. They are 11-3. They started the season off unbeaten through 9 games. So they have taken a bit of a step back, but I don't see any reason that their success would not continue throughout the season. They have arguably the best player in the NBA. I don't think it's actually an argument anymore. Giannis Antetokounmpo is the best player in the NBA, and they're doing it without Chris Middleton.
Yeah. Obviously, going into the season, I feel like everyone was like, "Oh, the Bucks are great with Chris Middleton," but without Chris Middleton, it's a little iffy. No, Giannis has proven he's the best player, not in the NBA. Giannis is the best player in the world, and he is carrying this team to just look crazy dominant. Jrue Holiday doing his part. He's playmaking. He's defending, obviously. He's even rebounding significantly for the team, which is just what you want to see from your point guard. You want to see him contributing on all aspects, really just pitching in wherever he can. Obviously, someone like the Lakers would love to see that from their point guard, really just pitching in and really just playing their own part. And so Jrue Holiday is always doing a great job of that. Brook Lopez, phenomenal job, defense, everything.
They do a great job of taking no names and making them productive. There's a lot of guys on their team that aren't really they weren't sought out talent. They were guys at the end of their drafts, undrafted guys, like Grayson Allen, Pat Connaughton, Jordan Nwora, all those guys who weren't really highly sought talent, but they are making a big impact on this team, especially with Chris Middleton out. And I think because they have this opportunity right now,
Chris Middleton even is one of those guys.
Oh yeah, for sure. When he comes back, they're gonna have all this opportunity to have a deep roster, but also have the top tier talent to be a contender. So I love where they're headed. Barring a major injury, they are the team to beat in the NBA. And I don't think I can say the same thing about the next team we're going to talk about. Even though they have a borderline superstar, the Portland Trail Blazers have really shocked me as a team that is 10-4 right now. They started off the season very, very hot. And two of their losses were when Damian Lillard was out. I'm just not sure if they have the talent to be a team that can contend.
No. I mean, we've seen it time and time again in the playoffs. Damian Lillard, generational talent, top 10 point guard of all time.
You can make an argument for that, yeah.
I mean, I think he's top 10-ish around. That's a bold claim maybe, but that's a video for another day. But Damian Lillard, a phenomenal player, but we've seen time and time again in the playoffs. He can bring them just far enough, but like he can't go that extra step that is really required of you when you want to win a championship.
It's very difficult to do that when your second best player is either Jeremy Grant or Anthony Simons. Don't get me wrong, these guys are great players. These guys can fill a role within a team, but they are not a second star on a team.
Yeah, and going into the season, I really did think the Portland Trail Blazers had something special. They obviously had a major retooling around Damian Lillard, and I was really excited to see it, and I'm really proud. I really have liked seeing what they've done this season, but that being said, again, I don't think at the end of the day it's going to amount to much.
Yeah, they need a lot more talent on their team. They need a lot more time for their young guys to develop. I think this is just not the year, and maybe not even next year. The next team we're going to talk about is a team that had the best record last year, the Phoenix Suns. They were expected to go to the finals. They were the favorite going into the playoffs. But now, after their loss in the second round, they have had some doubts surrounding them, especially with DeAndre Ayton. So what do you think of this team right now as a 9-5 team in the West?
I don't know. For me, they're just one of those teams that are just a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
They only have so much time left until they just have to blow it up.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, with Chris Paul being such a big part of your system like he is, it's hard to have a good timeline for your team, just knowing that Chris Paul is going to retire within the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Devin Booker, I'm not sure of his contract situation, but he's a player that if they don't continue to get to the finals or even win within the next 5 years, he's going to be out of there probably.
Right.
No one wants to stay in Phoenix. Like, let's just be honest.
Yeah.
No one wants to stay in Phoenix.
Here's what I'm thinking. So, if they're competitive and contending with Chris Paul, and let's say he leaves, he retires, they can still retool around Devin Booker, who is a superstar, around like DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson. All those guys are young. All those guys have a defensive identity, and all those guys I think they can lead enough to build a team. They just need a second star, and I don't know who that would be, and I feel like that's looking way too much in the future. But like, I think they are set up enough for success that they can build a competitive team for the next 8 to 10 years.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's see the next team. Next team we're gonna mention. This team was my preseason number one in the West. The Denver Nuggets are 9-5 in the West right now. They started off very slow. MPJ, Jamal Murray, and even Jokic looked slow. They didn't look like they were connected, and they have turned it on in the last few weeks. I've loved watching them play. Aaron Gordon has been a great player to watch on their team. I even like guys like Christian Brown and Nashawn Highland. Bones Highland. No one ever calls him Nashawn. I've been playing too much 2K. I just love the Denver Nuggets team. I think I can't wait for them to propel themselves over the Suns and the Portland for the number one seed in the West, but I still don't see them as a finals contender.
Yeah. They're a special team for sure. I think that's the word I would use to describe them. They're very special. I just lost my train of thought. Yeah, I think, again, it goes back to the idea of you haven't made a far push. I do want to say, the Nuggets did make the conference finals in 2020.
Yes.
But that was like iffy bubble, so I don't really count that.
And it was 2-3-1 comebacks.
And it was just Jokic, doing his thing. There was no one really to compete in the West that much that year. Just, I don't count it. I want to see a really hard fought playoff that they lose, and then they come back next year stronger, more focused on winning, not on getting the number 1 seed, not on winning any awards, not on Jamal Murray, MPJ, their comeback seasons can be over, and everyone on that team can just get to work. Everyone on that team gets to work. They work hard, and they're gonna be contenders when they come back because they're hungry, they're thirsty, they want more, they want that taste of the playoffs that they got, and that's really what I'm looking to see out of them.
I feel like you're assuming that Murray and MPJ are gonna be healthy, they have had so many injury stuff. I don't know. I feel like I'm assuming that too. It's Jokic has had to do so much for this team because he's dealt with injuries on his team. So I feel like when you have 2 injury-prone players as 2 of your top 3 players, it's very difficult to have a competitive and consistent team. So we'll see how that works with them. But Jokic has had to change his role since they've been back because he had a whole year playing without them.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's talk about our next team. A team that I thought would miss the playoffs, but it doesn't seem like it would be now. The Atlanta Hawks are 9-5 in the East right now. The DeJounte Murray signing looks very good. Or not signing, trade looks very good for them now. They are looking like one of the contenders in the East right now. Are they?
I don't know. It's a hard question to answer because, again, they're a crazy good team, but it's hard to say that they're contenders when you know that the Celtics and the Bucks are in the East.
That's true.
I don't think I see them beating them. But that being said, again, they're a crazy talented team. I've really changed my mindset on Trae Young this season. A lot of people were really high on Trae Young, especially going into this season, calling him a top. They kind of put him in the top 10 players in the NBA. I'm still not sure I would put him there, but I do think that I would kind of put him. I'd put him higher than I would have earlier in the season, probably around the 15 to 10 top player in the NBA. He's really special, generational talent. I'm excited to see where his career goes, and then obviously DeJounte Murray being there just really takes a load off of him. He doesn't have to worry about guarding the best backcourt player of a team. That obviously can go fully to DeJounte. And DeJounte can even take away some of the playmaking responsibility that Trae had to previously fill.
I feel like they're always going to be compared to Cleveland because they made 2 big offseason moves in the same offseason, and they were very close together in the play-ins. And right now, they're right next to each other in the Eastern Conference standings. Cleveland started off very, very hot in the East. They were, I think, 6 or 7-1. Right now they're 8-6, coming off a 5-game losing streak. Right now, I feel like it's very fair to compare those 2 teams. Right now, I feel like Cleveland has more talent, but Atlanta has the best player out of those 2 teams. So it's very hard to compare those 2 teams.
Yeah. I would say, if I was to say who had a brighter future, it would be Cleveland, just because they have Mobley, they have Garland, they have Jarrett Allen, they have Donovan Mitchell, they have just every starting position just solid right now. But they are, like you said, they are very close, very bright futures to both of them.
I feel like both teams are so young; they're going to be so inconsistent throughout the season. Like you saw, it's going to be a game of runs for them. Cleveland started off the season 7-1. They lost 5 games in a row. They're probably going to come back and win 6 in a row, and everybody's going to be talking about them again, hyping them up. Donovan Mitchell's the best player in the league. Oh no!
Right.
So not in the league, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But I feel like both of those teams are going to have those runs, and they're always going to be competing against each other. They're always going to be compared to each other. I would love to see a series of Atlanta versus Cleveland.
That would be amazing.
Such a good playoff series.
And with Trae Young, it would spark a rivalry.
Oh, for sure.
Cleveland and it probably will be. Even if they don't have a series, there probably will be a Cleveland Atlanta rivalry. I would not be surprised.
Yeah.
One thing. Oh yeah. The Cavaliers, this is something that I did see coming with them, this losing streak. They obviously started off really hot. Without Garland was out for a lot of the season.
Yeah, you're right.
So I was suspecting that Garland would come back. They'd maybe even have some crazy games right when Garland came back, but then once they kind of had to slip into it and really get adjusted and really get comfortable with it all, it would take them a while. And so I'm not panicking. I'm not like, oh, horrible trade, five game losing streak. I think it all makes sense.
Yeah. I feel like just my concern with the Cavaliers is that they don't have one superstar. They don't have a superstar at all. And I feel like if they want to contend, they have to have a guy that like either blossoms into that, or they have to have like 2 or 3 guys that are borderline that. And I know like Donovan Mitchell's close, Garland's close.
Mobley could fill that too.
Yeah, you'd have to look at Mobley's development.
That's development, yeah.
Right. And I love how good their rim protection is with Mobley and Allen. My issue is that one of them has to step out to the perimeter almost all the time. And I feel like right now that's been Mobley, and he's suffered on defense because of it. So I feel like the Cavs have tried to play them separately as much as possible, but when they've been in together, especially in closing situations, it's been difficult for them to play defense. But their offense has been very good in the clutch. Darius Garland can take shots. Donovan Mitchell can take shots. Even guys like Kevin Love can take that load for like a corner 3 and stuff like that in the clutch. So I feel like offensively, they're great there. Defensively, there's some to be desired. But I love where Cleveland's headed. I don't think this is the year, but they have a super bright future ahead of them.
I agree.
Let's see. The next team, I predicted they would be the worst team in the NBA. I still think they can. They are 10-6 right now. The Utah Jazz, with their new acquisitions, Lauri Markkanen and Colin Sexton, have taken over the league. They were 10-3 to start the season. Now they're off a 3-game losing streak. I think they're coming back to earth. What do you think?
I think, number one, props to Lauri Markkanen. Phenomenal player, doing great things. Probably be an all-star this year. Congratulations. He found the system that fits him, and that's amazing. That being said, the Jazz need to... If I am a Jazz fan, which I'm not, if I'm the Jazz general manager, I don't know who it is, but I'm just... Stop it. Stop winning. You want to lose. Like, you after the Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell trade, you're not trying to contend. You're set up perfectly for a rebuild with draft picks, a perfect core that can instantly contribute to winning if you just get really solid draft picks fast. It's perfect, but they're winning, and that's bad.
Yeah. One issue, I think, they still have some of their past core. They still have Mike Conley on their team. I think they still have Rudy Gay on their team. So they have a bunch of veteran guys who are contributing to winning. And I feel like, yes, you want those guys to help the young guys, to mentor those young guys. But also at this point, strategically, I don't like to promote losing because I want to watch good basketball. And I've loved watching Utah play. But strategically, if you are the general manager of this team, you don't really want to promote losing, but you want to give yourself a better chance for that top pick. It's trying to find that balance between a winning culture and getting top picks that you can get top players. So it's really hard to find that balance. I feel like I wouldn't criticize them for winning.
No, not at all. Which as I said that, I just did that. But you're really seeing that with a lot of teams this year, where you thought they were going to be the one of the lowest teams in the league, and they're kind of top to middle, and you're kind of thinking, what's going on? Mm-hmm. Why are they up here? But I'm not mad because it's because a lot of those are really young teams, so they're obviously starting the season off really hot, really energetic, and then as the veterans kind of really get a grasp of things and a handle on things, I think we're going to see that kind of things go back to normal, kind of what we were expecting. But yeah, props to the Jazz. Congratulations.
Sure. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the New Orleans Pelicans. They finally got Zion Williamson back from basically with a season of him being out. They're going to be compared a lot to the Memphis Grizzlies, especially with Zion and Ja Morant being right next to each other. And right now they're right next to each other in the records too. So they're kind of in a very similar trajectory. What team do you think is more likely to succeed this season?
That's a good question. I think I could see the Pelicans doing better in the regular season, but if I was going to place money on it, I think I would say that the the Grizzlies would have better success in the playoffs.
That's fair.
Again, whole experience thing, and I trust Ja as like a playoff performer more as like Zion, who I could see him just going into a playoff series with like just a really bad attitude of like, I'm gonna eat Doritos and just not even try, kind of like Shaq almost.
But you could have the exact opposite, where he's one of the most dominant players in a series.
Yeah,
but it's very, very similar, very close, and I feel like I would go with the Grizzlies just based on their past experience last year. Losing to the Warriors, they were talking all that trash. They were trying to like hype themselves up, strengthen numbers, mocking the Warriors, all that. I love where this team's headed, especially when they get Jaren Jackson Jr. back. They'll definitely have that adjustment period, but I love where this team is headed. Their defense is going to look great with Jaren Jackson Jr. back, and Ja has looked like a different animal. He's looked like one of those MVP contenders. I definitely want to highlight a lot of those players who have had really good start of the seasons on teams that weren't expected to be in the top of the standings.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Is that it? Or
sure.
How about we look at some teams that are maybe underperforming this season? Maybe just a couple of those.
Let's look at this. So, you knew it was going to come to this. The Brooklyn Nets have 6 wins and 9 losses in the Eastern Conference. They fired their head coach and hired a guy who got suspended from his own team.
I do have a question about that.
Yeah.
Is that a year contract?
I have no idea.
Like I haven't looked into how that's gonna work.
I didn't look at their contract, but I think basically he's just left Boston at this point.
Just forever, kind of.
Yeah, because Joe Mazzulla is doing really well in Boston. I think they want to keep him and don't have the drama of Ime Udoka.
Yeah.
Brooklyn Nets.
That would make sense.
They also basically they only have Kevin Durant right now. Kyrie Irving's been suspended for his failure to disavow his anti-Semitism, and Ben Simmons hasn't looked like anything resembling himself, not even a shell of himself. He is so hesitant to shoot. He is so hesitant to do anything but get the ball and just be a hot potato. It's like me playing basketball in 6th grade. He literally doesn't look at the basket anymore. And I feel like that's a big concern. I feel like that's something that the Brooklyn Nets need to look into and definitely need to foster his growth offensively. And even defensively, he's looked like a liability there too.
Yeah, I just saw a video on YouTube the other day. I don't remember who it was, so sorry for not giving you the credit. But it's never happened in NBA history, I think, that a player of Ben Simmons' caliber, like #1 draft pick, he becomes kind of the second option, debatable first option at points of a #1 seed contender team to just immediately drop, lose confidence, and become like an 8th man.
I feel like the only times I've seen that is through injuries.
Through injuries, and he didn't have. Well,
he had a back injury, but like this is all mental. He's physically capable.
Yeah,
and I feel like that's what he's saying, and I feel like he hasn't talked. He's definitely talked, been open about his mental health. And I feel like that's something where that is on him, and I feel like the team does have a say in that and has to like work with that. But I feel like at this point, that's something he has to manage and something his confidence. He has to deal with that.
Yeah, and like he's fully cleared for like injury purposes, but he's playing like 14 minutes a game off the bench.
Yeah.
So yeah, really, really sad story there. Again, I always hope that players succeed and do well. So obviously, I wish him all the best.
Let's see. Another team with the same record. I think they have different reasons for their failures so far, but the Golden State Warriors have not looked good. Steph Curry put up a 50-piece last night and they lost. Like, he has carried the load of this team. He's been the Nikola Jokic of this team, and the fact, like, at least Denver had defense last year. The Warriors don't this year. Draymond Green has not looked like himself since the punch. Jordan Poole has been great offensively, but we've never seen him as a defensive player. Klay Thompson did not look like what he did in the playoffs last year. It's a whole mess. And I feel like in our last video I was talking about, there's no way they don't turn this around. But they haven't won a game on the road this season. That's something that they have to deal with and something that they have to get through if they want to be even a playoff team. even a team that gets past the first round. So,
I mean, yeah, definitely just they're looking completely different from the Warriors that just won the championship.
Oh, yeah.
The Warriors that just won the championship, everyone's contributing. Steph Curry obviously is doing his thing and being phenomenal, crazy talented player, but he's not it wasn't just him. It was Jordan Poole, Draymond Green, Andrew Wiggins. But this year, like you just mentioned, he had a 50-piece, and they still lost. What was the Kings game? I forget Curry's stat line, but it was crazy. And they beat the Kings, who are a good team, by the way. They're probably going to end their playoff drought this year, hopefully, which would be nice to see. But they barely beat the Kings, the reigning champions, almost beat a team who hasn't been in the playoffs in like 16 years with a 40-something piece, I think, or maybe even 50-plus piece. I'm not sure. From Steph Curry by like 3 points. That's sad. That's really sad.
So I'm just looking at their, if you look at past season, so right now they're 6-9, so that they've had their 9th loss in their 15th game. They were 29-9 when they got their 9th loss. That's 38 games. They look nothing like the team they were last year, and this is without Klay Thompson last year. Mm-hmm. They look completely different. Watching them play, they're not having fun. They're not being the same as they were last year. And I feel like that's something. Well, it's definitely something they have to fix before they can even look at each other as contenders. And I feel like that starts immediately with the culture.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's good for now. Yeah, let us know what you think of really just how certain players are performing, how certain rookies are performing, how certain teams are performing, whether they're underperforming or overperforming. We want to know it all. So down in the comments below, let us know what you think of this NBA season so far, how your favorite NBA team's doing.
Yeah, I'm so sad we didn't get to talk about the Pacers. But that'll be something we can talk about in a later podcast. So as we conclude this video, please like this video, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to this channel. Peace.
Wear your seatbelt.